NDSU Community Counseling Services in here as well. So it is free for all NDSU students. The counselors in clinic are counselors in training, so just like us, those of us that are in practicum, like Jadyn and I. And then this counseling center also operates on the academic schedule, so we're closed on holidays and breaks, and also snow days like yesterday. Our hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And basically, what we do at the counseling center is we help clients manage various issues like anxiety, depression, academic struggles, and so many more things. Basically, just whatever it may be that they need help with. And yeah, do you have anything else to add, Jadyn?
I don't. We on this slide particular or on the community counseling?
Just on, yeah, this slide in particular, the
Okay.
center.
Yeah, so originally we were going to have all our participants introduce themselves either in the chat or by showing your screen. At this point, we have 75 participants, I believe. So that's not as reasonable or appropriate as we originally had expected. But I mean, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, or if you would just like to say, like, if you're a student or faculty or somebody else that's just interested in this, then you can go ahead and do that. But we are not mandating that or anything. But other than that, yep.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So kind of to get started into our topic today with the goal setting, we're going to start with a little activity. And I don't know if you guys have ever used Mentimeter before. Hopefully, oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so there's two ways you can do it. You can either scan the QR code, or you can go down to menti.com and type in the code that is provided below. So up to you. I'll leave this screen up for a few seconds here. But the next screen I go to will also have that information. So the topic that we're just going to start with this word collage is, what is a goal that you're striving to meet? And this can be very broad. It could be like one word, like stress. It could be more in depth, like working on my sleeping habits. Basically, maybe why you're here today and wanting to learn about goals if you have a specific goal in mind. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen here. And so basically the same thing that we had before. So you will have that code at the top there, and then the QR code if you want it. If you guys could log into that, that would be great. And then we will discuss the answers that we get. Work-life balance, motivation, focus, time management, better sleep, weight loss. I like that specific goal there, run a half marathon. Nice. Relaxation, improved grades, professional development. Get 10,000 steps per day. Nice. Building pottery skills. Committing to exercise. Rescue more cats. Oh, that's an awesome one. Finances in order. Stress reduction. Time management seems like a big one. Having motivation. That's how I'm interpreting that. Walking more, healthy eating, writing, reading, looks like retirement planning. Awesome. I like it. I feel like we kind of have a wide range here of some goals that we are maybe having in the back of our heads while we're discussing goals today. Awesome. Allison, do you have any that stick out to you?
I think the one that says rescue more cats. I really like that one. I'm a cat lover myself, so yeah, I think that's a very good goal.
Yeah, I like that too. We're going to talk a little bit more in a minute, a little bit more on like how to measure goals. And some of these, I like that we have a variety of some pretty broad things that are maybe difficult to measure, and then some other things like 90 grams of protein each day. That's pretty easy to measure. You either got the 90 grams of protein or you didn't. We'll talk about that more. So I think it's good that we have a variety here. Would anyone like to explain their goals that they listed, or talk more about it? Get advice from other group members? And you could put it in the chat or show your camera. Oh, I see that we had some staff here.
Jadyn, are you seeing what's in the chat, or do you want me to read it
Yeah,
out
if you want to
loud?
read it, that'd be great, just so then I don't have to show
Yeah,
it up.
so we have some comments. It says a lot of healthy food and movement goals. Let's do this, fam. And then somebody else said, if any of the exercise folks go to Platinum Fitness in Moorhead, a friend of mine and I like to work out in the mornings from 6:15 to 6:20 through 7 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We'd love to have you join. Oh, how fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Give time for a few more responses if they come up. I will exit out of this. I appreciate all of your responses and feedback. I think we have a really good start here. Looks like everyone is kind of.
Jadyn, somebody else
Oh, yeah.
responded. Sorry.
Oh,
It says, I'm motivated to work out until I get home, exhausted.
I feel like I can especially relate to that. And I don't know, Allison, I know Alyssa, just being a graduate student, you have a long, tiresome day, and mentally you're probably pretty fried. Physically, I sit at a desk all day, but still, when I get home, that's probably one of the last things that I want to do. So I feel like just having that motivation, like during the day, and then maybe not living up to it once you get home because you're really tired, that can be super frustrating too.
I think another important thing to note there is that you have to give yourself grace on days like that too. Like if your body's telling you to rest, you really should just rest. So
Right.
mm-hmm.
I agree. Back here. So with all of those goals being said, let's kind of jump in to some different types of goals. Now, there's a wide variety of sources and sites that can give you information about different types of goals and how to achieve those goals. But today we want to focus on mastery oriented versus performance oriented goals. And I'll kind of dive into both of those in a minute. So essentially, when we think of like one specific goals, there's two ways of looking at it. You can be master oriented or you could be performance oriented. So with that, if you're mastery oriented with this one specific goal, you're going to be internally motivated. So that would mean like yourself is providing that motivation to achieve that goal. Where if it's performance oriented, that's going to be externally motivated. An example would be maybe your boss, you want to do really well so that your boss, you have that motivation from your boss or from your coworker, your partner, your parent. It's that external motivation that's influencing your actions. And then to go down to the next, seeking feedback that accurately corresponds with progress and will promote improvement. With that master oriented, you're wanting feedback. You're wanting to continue that progress, even if it's bad feedback, even if it's negative and it's not necessarily great to hear, but that feedback will allow you to improve. Where on the flip side of that, with performance oriented, you're seeking feedback to feel compliment or be complimented or feel approval from others. So kind of going back to that externally motivated, you're looking for feedback that correlates with positive external responses. Essentially saying the only reason maybe you're doing this is to get that approval from others, where internally motivated, mastery oriented, you're doing it for yourself. To go along to the next bullet point, we have satisfaction with abilities if they are actively making progress. So if you're making progress, maybe the goal is not even met yet, but you have satisfaction or you feel like you're succeeding because you are actively making progress. Where with performance oriented, the satisfaction is with success and perfection. And we can kind of talk about perfection in a little bit as well, especially around goals. So mastery is winning because we're making progress. Performance is we're only satisfied if we meet that goal and we perfect it. I apologize if it's going to get loud here. My apartment's right next to a train track and there's a train going by. So I apologize if that's distracting. But so the next thing that we have on mastery oriented is choosing tasks / goals that encourage personal growth and look for new challenges. So kind of with that being said, like going after goals that one are feasible, and we'll talk about that more with SMART goals, but feasible and are influenced or impacted or impact personal growth. And we're always looking for new challenges. We're always trying to better ourselves, making new goals, not just being satisfied with, yep, I read a book today, I met my goal. We're always trying to, well, maybe tomorrow I'll start a new book and I'll try to read this many pages more than I did the day before. So where performance oriented is choosing goals and tasks that prove that you're competent and avoid embarrassment. So something like that is, not really striving to be the best version of yourself, but striving to meet something that that you can achieve for that avoidance of embarrassment and kind of approval from others that we talked about before. So with that being said, if you could put in the chat which orientation of goals you think sounds more productive or positive or have more of an influential impact on your goals and how you set them. I might just pull up the chat here.
Somebody said performance, and then we got 3 people who have said mastery.
Okay.
Performance.
Okay.
Kind of like a mix of performance and mastery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
somebody said a mix of the two. Depends on the.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I like that. And I could agree with that as well. Allison, before I jump on to my explanation, which would you feel is more putting you on the spot?
I think in our culture, we grow up and it's a very performance oriented type of motivation that we have because of, schooling. Like you have to do well on tests, and most students, who are they doing well for? You know, they're doing well for their teachers or their parents or whatever it may be. But for me, as I've gotten older, it's definitely been a more mastery oriented stance. Um, Especially recently, I've just started like eating healthier, and that really came from within. I'm not doing it to seek outside validation or whatever it may be, and so it's more fulfilling for me nowadays because I've taken that more mastery oriented stance.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I really like the way you explained that too. And it made me think of something. If you think of like, for me personally, in undergraduate school, it was not for me personally about learning. It was about getting the good GPA, and it was about getting the work done and making sure that I did everything to get that grade that I wanted. And then got into graduate school, probably because of achieving the performance that I wanted, but then got into grad school and I had a professor, or we had a professor that there was no grading. It was kind of if you did it, like you got the points for it, and if you didn't, whatever. And I really liked that because they had explained that you're going to put into the work that you want to put into it. You're going to get out of this class what you want to get out. I can't motivate you. It's up to you now at this point. And I really like that because it really shifted my perspective because, yeah, if I'm going to half-ass this assignment, that's not impacting anyone but me. That's impacting me and my journey and my education level. My professor does care, but it's not in the sense that they're just trying to have me be perfect or to perform to their standards. I really appreciated that. So I would say the answer here, I was kind of going for a little more is the mastery oriented. But I think that I like the feedback that we got, and I think it brings up a good point that maybe a mixture of both could be appropriate. I think we can get into a little bit of conflict if we're so focused on performance oriented, because at the end of the day, we might not always have that external motivation, right? We will always have some sort of internal feelings and internal impacts, but we might not always have the external motivation. And I think that here it seems like because we are doing tasks to avoid embarrassment and limit negative downfalls, I don't think that we're striving for what our main goal is. We're kind of avoiding versus attacking our goals, and being more positive and more purposeful with what we're trying to do. Do you have any questions about that or anything that you would argue? And put it in the chat.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of good conversation going on in the chat right now.
Oh,
Yeah, it looks like a couple people are just talking about like being performance motivated when you're about to start your career, and then you start to move into mastery. And someone made a really good point, and they said, if I wonder if some of this comes from fear of loss of career promotion, etc., where later in the career there tends to be more security.
Yeah. I think almost to a little bit, if we talk about like athletes, for example, kind of bringing you in, Alyssa, I think there is kind of a difference in coaching too, in that aspect of like, there's some coaches that you make one mistake and you're out, or there's some coaches that are like, you need to figure it out on your own. And your fear of failure isn't going to promote you to be more successful. All you're going to have in the back of your head is the fact that you might fail. And I know me as an athlete, when I had coaches like that, that's all I thought about is if I fail, then I'm going to be taking out. And I wasn't enjoying or being successful within the game because of that fear of failure.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. It looks like there's some more conversation going on in the chat. I don't know if you guys want to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Someone said the need for feedback seems to migrate from needing it early in careers to people have the confidence to rely on their own perspective on how they're performing.
Mm-hmm. I really like this comment too, that I had a therapist suggest I may be afraid of success, not the failure. Always found that interesting. Mm-hmm. And if you're, always used to that failure, I kind of relating this to more to my life, but if you're always used to that failure, success is unknown. Success is unfamiliar for you. So that also can be pretty nerve-wracking, and you might be afraid of it in that aspect as well. Yeah, very nice perspective. All right, and then there's that link at the bottom if you'd like to read more about that. And I can hand it over to you, Allison. Next.
Sounds good. All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about here is SMART goals. Okay, hopefully it stays now. So the first portion of this is specific. So you really need to think about, is this goal, just more generally, what am I going to do? Why is this something that's important to me? The goal really needs to be something specific. So like the more specific things in the Mentimeter was rescue more cats or have, consume 90 grams of protein each day. That's really what we're getting at here with the specific portion of this. So it needs to be specifics. And then the next thing is it needs to be measurable. So how will I measure my progress? How will I know when I achieve my goal? So this could be, again, like 10,000 steps a day. Like, how are you going to measure that? Are you going to wear a watch? Or 90 grams of protein, how are you going to measure that? Are you going to, make sure you have 30 grams of protein at each meal? So kind of stuff like that. And then the next portion here for A, that stands for attainable. So what are you going to do specifically to achieve that goal? Will you be able to achieve that goal? Is something really worth thinking about. And then the next one here is it relevant to your life and is it realistic? So is this goal worth your time? Is it worth, spending time thinking through all of these parts of, the SMART goal outline? Is it relevant to your life? Is it going to make your life better? And then the last part here is time oriented. So when do you want to achieve this goal? How long will it take to achieve that goal? And yeah, so that's kind of the outline for SMART goals. Does anyone have any questions about this? Or any comments as well?
I think it's important to note that when you have goals,
Sorry, I didn't quite hear what you said there. Did you want to repeat that?
oh, I'm sorry, I had a microphone issue.
No,
I think it's
that's
important
okay.
to note when you have time oriented, that piece, you have your end goal. Many people fall down, at least myself specifically fall down with that end goal might be so far out. That breaking it down into, for example, like I'm committing to going to the gym. Ultimately, I want to say 4 times a week, but right now I know maybe with some other conflicts in my life, I can't get there yet. So maybe I'm going to start out, for a week or two. I'm going to make sure I go once a week because that's maybe more realistic to work up to. So if I can do once, then I can do twice. And I think it's important sometimes to break it down into those steps for people that might make your end goal more attainable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's something that's really important to note here too is you can, think about when you want to achieve this thing, but it's really thinking about, is that realistic? Is it realistic for me to change from, like you said, going from working out 0 times a week to 4 times a week? So yeah, that's a really important point that you highlighted there. And it looks like there's some other chats here. So somebody said, I saw another version of SMART goals, mostly pertaining to proposal submissions for things like grants or other organization-based goals. SMARTY goals equals the same as SMART, but adding I for inclusion and E for equity. I really liked that addition. Yeah, I haven't seen that version of it, but it does seem like they're very important things to add as well. Yeah. All right. So moving on.
We got a couple more comments in the chat. Sorry, I just wanted
Yeah.
to read them.
Nope,
Somebody said a SMART goal must be something you can impact. And then another person said, I think you also need to give yourself grace if you falter. Pick yourself up and start again without judgment. And then someone else said, if your goal is a habit you want to have, example, working out daily, I highly recommend you reading the book Atomic Habits. It helps you learn how to habit stack and be 1% better each day. I will also say that book is really good.
it is a really good book. Yes.
Yeah,
It
and I
really
think,
pertains to this topic of goals.
mhm. And I think with Angela's comment over Zoom and then with the chat, I think, it's okay if you need to alter your goals a little bit. If you're like, hey, I can't, it's not feasible right now for me to have this 4 times a week. That doesn't mean you're not going to get there. Maybe you're just going to start slower. And yeah, being okay with, it's okay that if I just have it once a week. And I think another big thing that we haven't mentioned yet is comparisons. I know I really struggle with that. Well, so and so goes to the gym 4 times a week, like I should just be there. But you don't know their history. Maybe they started out only going once a week, and you are not them. You have different struggles. You have different impacts of your life. So I think that's really something that needs to be in everyone's back of their heads as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think going along with that, if you mess up 1 or 2 days, it's really important to give yourself that grace, saying like, hey, I can't be perfect all the time, and that's okay, but I will try my hardest to get there. So yeah, so for the next slide here, I wanted you guys to get a little bit of experience with creating your own SMART goals based off of this. So think of an area of your life that you want to improve. And then using that SMART goal outline, write down a goal you would like to achieve within the next year or so. So really think about all the aspects of that outline. So what specific goal do I want to achieve? How will I measure this goal? Is this something that I have that I am able to do? Is it realistic? Is it relevant to my life? Will it be helpful for me? And then when do I want to achieve this goal by? So yeah, I'll just give you guys a few minutes here, and then we'll come back as a group. Alrighty. It looks like someone else put in the chat. The author of Atomic Habits just created an app called Atoms. I've been using the free trial version over the past week and really like it. So yeah, that's something else that might prove to be helpful as far as habits go. All right. And then does anyone want to share about the SMART goal that they wrote about?
You could share like the process too, how that was for you, if you don't feel comfortable sharing what the goal was.
Yeah.
I'm willing to share.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Julianne, and my SMART goal is to run a virtual 5K. And I want to do that because I want to be more fit, and I want to get the cool medals to display on my wall as proof that I can do that, and as a reminder that I should keep doing that. So the measurable part is I will follow a plan. I've downloaded some runners plans to get fit for this within 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. And I do think it's achievable. And I've given myself a 3-month timeline. My A is to follow the plan and monitor my diet. And I do think I can do that if I'm dedicated. But the biggest thing I need to do is stay out of my own head. And the R, is it worthwhile? It's totally worthwhile because it will make me stronger mentally. I think it'll improve my self-esteem and my body image. And the T is I'm giving myself until the end of April.
That is an awesome example.
Yeah, it is.
And it sounds like already you have a lot of motivation for it. So I feel like sometimes too, that can be the first step, is getting that true internal motivation.
It is, but this is like the 4th time I've tried doing this, but I've decided now, I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm going to follow through.
And yeah, that's okay that you did procrastinate. But here you are trying to start again. So that's awesome.
Sometimes it's about timing too. Like you can have,
Yes.
I know for me earlier in my college career, I feel like I wanted to start eating healthier and start working out and stuff like that. And I just never really got to it. And this time I tried and I've stuck with it for a few weeks. So it really does just depend on the timing as well.
And I recently learned that it actually takes 66 days to create or break a habit, when I always thought it was 21.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was 21 too. The more you know.
Yeah. Anyone else like to share? Thought that was a really good example too. We got every letter taken care of and in great detail too. So that was ideal example. Good work.
Yes.
I just wanted to talk to the gal that just talked about that it's her 4th attempt. I work in a place where we do promotion of smoking cessation, and somebody just came back from a conference and said the average person attempts to quit 12 times in their life before they're successful. And that's an average. That's not a, whatever. But I love what you said about finding the different motivations, and I think it ties back to the giving yourself grace and looking at what worked and what didn't before for you, and why this motivation is so powerful now, and how this time, what am I going to pick myself up and move back forward. And I love that you said getting out of your own head, because I think that's probably the #1 blocker for most people when it comes to goal setting, and how they all kind of tie together. And giving yourself grace helps you stay mentally sharp to meet that goal.
Right.
Thank you. And I just realized that getting my own out of my own head part last week. Something happened to me that made me realize that, oh, I just need to stay out of my own head because this is what's happening. So, and about the smoking thing, yeah, I used to smoke a long, long time ago, and I always told myself, never quit quitting. So I just kind of do the opposite for this.
Mhm. Two great examples. Thank you guys for sharing. Appreciate that. And then, yeah, I feel like people kind of have to find what motivates them too, in the sense of, we were talking performance oriented and mastery oriented. I think of like my mom, for example. She could think about cleaning her house all day, every day, and it comes to like someone in our family saying, hey, we're gonna stop by tomorrow afternoon, and she can clean like there's no tomorrow. So she kind of needs that external motivation, and in the sense that she kind of has that anxiety of her house not looking good enough for other people. So like I've kind of talked to her like, okay, mom, that's what motivates you. So you know what, maybe I'm going to tell people to spring things on you because that's what's going to help you get something done. And we kind of joked about it, but it is true. You have to find what that motivation is for you, and work with it, not allow it to work against you. Definitely. I think at this point we can head to our last slide. So before we're done for today, if you could just share in the chat, or if you want to speak up, if you want to just share that of something that you're taking away from today's Unthink session. It could be a goal that you necessarily haven't like made a plan for yet, like the SMART plan or the SMART goal, or it could be maybe a goal you didn't know you had, anything along those lines.
I just want to thank everybody for their thoughts and comments for the session, because I'm recognizing that me expressing my goals to other people, even if I don't know them, makes me feel stronger about actually going through and accomplishing what I'm setting out to do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Hi, Shannon here. I want to thank Julian for sharing. That's super helpful. But something that just dawned on me, you said something about cleaning the house, and that's something that I have always had problems with personally. And I recently decided I was going to hire someone to do it for me, even though it's something I'm perfectly capable of doing for myself, because I realized that it would give me peace to not have to give myself a hard time about that anymore, and it would allow me to focus on another goal. So I think something that also is important is, if not achieving the goal will give you as much or more peace as achieving it, that's the thing I'm looking into too. I feel so much better. I feel like I have more time and motivation for the things that I want to do, because I don't have to do this thing that I really despise doing. Thanks for your time today, guys.
Yeah, I really like that example too, Shannon, because maybe that's more of a chore in your head. It's not, I don't have this goal that I want to become a good cleaner, clean my house more often. So I really like that different way of looking at it. And now I really like what you said about now you have time for different goals and tasks that you actually want to do. I thought that was a really great example. Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that, Grant. It's maybe not as simple as just wanting to do something, and it involves planning, dedication. And I think too, like the success of the goal, maybe it could be something very simple that you don't need to have a little more work into, but I think that depends on your interest and how motivated you are to get that done. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I really like the resources that were provided in the chat too. Thank you guys for providing those, the Atomic Habits and apps. Awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you all for coming.
Yes.
All right, so I'll close this out since Alyssa had to step out for a client. But first, we want to thank Allison and Jadyn for their time and their expertise. We really appreciate it. And it sounds like our participants, especially in the chat, got a lot out of your presentation. If you have any other questions or concerns, feel free to drop those in the chat, or we have another like 10-ish minutes. Otherwise, while you're typing, I'll let you know about our next Think session, which will be on March 13th at 2 p.m. And that will be focused on exercising without perfection. So definitely something to mark your calendar on, because it sounds like a lot of the goals we're setting today really tie into our next presentation. So with that said, any other questions, concerns, or anything you would like to share with the group? All right, so I think we can hang out for a few more minutes if you don't want to ask in front of everyone. Otherwise, again, thank you so much for coming. Try to stay warm, try to stay out of the snow if you can, and enjoy the rest of your day.